Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're well. It's Alessio, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about whether Bitcoin has bottomed or whether Bitcoin is getting closer to a bottom. And also in this video I want to show you something fascinating that I saw in the airport as I was coming back to London. You're going to love this bit as well. So firstly, I want to wish you all a very happy new year. You probably noticed I haven't published a video for the last 10 or 12 days, and that's because I've been actually ill for the last 2 or 3 weeks. When I went to America, I don't know what happens to me whenever I fly over abroad, especially to America. I become extremely sick. So I've been actually quite ill with a flu over the last 3 weeks. I think it's a circulation of the air in the airplanes. You probably notice in the airplanes, they tend to circulate and recycle the air, and I must have just basically caught someone's germs in the airplane. And one other thing that happened to me while I was over in America was that I put on a lot of weight, as happens during Christmas. And you can see from this photograph, I have a double chin here. So one thing I'm trying to do right now is basically try and get rid of this double chin here. Hopefully you guys can suggest to me some good ideas in your comments as to how I can lose my double chin and my weight as quickly as possible, hopefully. I think I know the reason is mostly because I ate a lot of sugar, which is obviously a very bad thing to do. And let me just show you this. This is something I saw in the airport in Washington, D.C. And I kid you not, this was the front cover of Bloomberg Business Week magazine. And look what it says on the front cover. It says, "Rhymes with Bitcoin. Has crypto hit the fan?" All right, now, this is obviously written, in my opinion, to provoke and anger some Bitcoin investors out there, probably the hardcore Bitcoin investors, especially since they're trying to use some rather rude language in regards with Bitcoin, as you can probably guess. But whenever you see magazines publish on their front cover, doom and gloom, negative articles about Bitcoin, actually about any market, doesn't have to be Bitcoin. But whenever there's doom and gloom and negative articles on the front cover of magazine, that is actually a very positive sign for that market. Historically and statistically, it's a sign that that market could be getting near to a bottom, or maybe the bottom has already been reached. Okay, so whenever you see negative articles, very much doom and gloom articles in magazines, especially like Bloomberg or something else, just be aware that it's possible that that market could be getting near to a bottom. And I think that's what's happening right now in Bitcoin. And by the way, let me just say this, that I know some of you are probably thinking, well, hasn't there been negative articles about Bitcoin for the last year? Yes, absolutely, you're right. There has been a lot of negative articles already about Bitcoin over the last 12 months. There's nothing new about this, I guess. But I think the pessimism is growing more and more, and I think that we're getting near to what I would call peak pessimism, if you want to call it that. So I don't think we've reached a position yet where everybody or the majority of people have given up on Bitcoin, which is a sign of a bottom on Bitcoin. But I think we're getting close. Take a look at this chart here. This is a weekly chart of Bitcoin, and I love this chart. Why? Take a look. After this massive drop in the price of Bitcoin over the last, over the last year or so, notice where we fell to the 200 weekly moving average, a level that I said is going to be very important for Bitcoin to hold. And so far, Bitcoin has managed to successfully hold the 200 weekly level, the 200 weekly moving average. It's managed to bounce off that level very nicely. A beautiful bounce, by all means. The question, of course, the big question right now is, can Bitcoin actually hold this 200 weekly average, or will it fall below the 200 weekly average? So if we just zoom out here on this chart, so that's the 200 weekly average. We've managed to, as you can see, bounce off that level. That was near the 3,100 level there. Currently, we're sitting at about 3,700. And going on a daily time frame here, let's go to the daily time frame chart. As you can see, Bitcoin, a bit of a drop here today, as you can see. But here's what I would say. Look, I don't think Bitcoin has bottomed yet, but I think given the level of pessimism, the level of negativity we're seeing around the world, and also the growing negativity and pessimism in the mainstream media and, in magazines like Bloomberg, things like this, articles like this, I think it's a sign that we could be getting closer to a bottom in Bitcoin. My own personal view is I don't think we've bottomed yet on Bitcoin, but I think we're getting close. And I think that a more likely bottom can be reached if we retest this previous low. I think that if Bitcoin comes back down and retests the previous low near the 3,000 or 3,100 level, and depending on what Bitcoin does, depending on the reaction we see on Bitcoin around this area, we can have a much better idea if Bitcoin has bottomed or not. Okay, so I'm personally remaining cautious. I don't think we're seeing evidence that Bitcoin has bottomed yet, but I think if Bitcoin comes back down and it's an if. We don't know if Bitcoin can retest this level or not, but I think on the balance of probabilities, if Bitcoin comes back down and retests this previous level back in December, and if we manage to somehow hold that level and bounce off that level, we can have a much better idea that Bitcoin has bottomed or not. My personal view is that a bottom on Bitcoin probably will be somewhere just below the 3,000 level. Okay, there are some people out there who think that Bitcoin is going to go down to 500 to 300, and some crazy people out there who think Bitcoin is going to go to zero. I am not one of them. Okay, so I am not one of these crazy lunatics out there who think that Bitcoin is going to go to zero or to 100 or 200. No, I don't think that's I think that's ridiculous. But my personal point of view is that the more negativity, the more people out there who say that Bitcoin is going to go all the way down to 500 or 300, I think the more of those people you see, the more likely it is we're reaching a potential bottom in Bitcoin. Remember, we want to see people giving up. And here's another thing I want to say, which is that watch out for hodlers. Now, if you're a hodler, that's fine. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people out there who probably bought Bitcoin in order to hold it forever. But remember, not every person who bought Bitcoin has a long-term perspective. A lot of those people probably have lost their nerve, probably getting nervous. And I think if Bitcoin comes back down to test this level again, they might actually panic and bail out. Okay, so what I'm waiting for is I would like to see more and more hodlers out there. Again, I'm not talking about you if you're a hodler. No, I'm talking about the people out there who, your average ordinary investor who doesn't have a long-term perspective and is now losing their nerve. So maybe a lot of those folks who might lose their nerve and panic, when they bail out, when they panic, and go from being a hodler to to a seller, I think that's when we could potentially see a bottoming formation on Bitcoin. All right, guys, so that's what I'm looking for in regards to Bitcoin. And again, as I mentioned, when you see articles in the mainstream media and on magazines like this, has crypto hit the fan, I think that's a positive sign for Bitcoin because it shows that we're getting near peak pessimism on Bitcoin. But I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we've reached the bottom or indeed peak pessimism just yet. But we'll keep an eye on this. All right, guys, I hope this video helps. And if it has, please give it a thumbs up. And also please subscribe for future videos if you haven't already subscribed. Thanks very much indeed. Bye for now.